Darkness fills the screen. A single Imperial sensor station floats in deep space. Around it, the stars look still, but the station trembles as if it feels a storm no one can see. Inside, alarms flash without sound. The crew watch empty screens, and yet their hearts pound. Something is moving out there faster than their fastest ship, and the sensors show nothing. The voice of the narrator is calm but low. No origin, no signal, no escape. An empire built on control now stares into the unknown. A junior officer, pale and shaking, whispers, We can't track it." His superior shouts, "Impossible!" Everything leaves a trace, but the screen stays blank. A single number, velocity, climbs higher and higher. And then, just as suddenly, the number vanishes, cut to black. Title appears, First Contact, the Phantom Without Origin, the Station. The story slows to describe the setting. The Imperial Sensor Station Argus 3 sits on the edge of mapped space, a silent outpost meant to watch for smugglers and rebel signals. It is built like a huge metal ring, with antenna towers jutting out like spears. Only 40 crew live here. They are bored, far from home, used to empty reports. Captain Lira Vahn commands the station. She's tall, with grey eyes and a scar across her cheek, a veteran of border wars. Her job is routine: check the scans, log the traffic, send reports. She knows every hum and flicker of Argus 3. Nothing surprises her anymore. Until tonight, the first sign at 0200 hours, the night shift technician Ensign Darrow notices a ghost spike on the long-range array. It's a soft curve like static, but it moves. He frowns, adjusts the filters. The spike grows stronger. He runs a diagnostic. No error. He calls to his partner, Yesik. "Come here. Look at this." Yesik leans over. The spike is now a straight line. Meteor? Too fast. Ship? No transponder. Darrow tags it as unidentified. The system auto-links to Imperial Command for cross-reference. The reply, no match. He swallows hard. He's never seen that reply. Captain Vahn's entrance, Captain Vahn, arrives on the deck, still fastening her uniform. She takes one look at the screen and feels a chill. The object is moving at 0.4 light, far faster than any civilian craft. It's on a vector that cuts through Imperial territory, but leaves no signal, no drive plume, no mass reading except a faint gravitational ripple. Trajectory? She asks, unknown. Origin? Unknown. Destination? Unknown. The crew exchange nervous glances. The Empire's pride for years. The Empire has prided itself on total awareness. Every ship, every drone, every jump is logged. Smugglers are caught before they leave port. Pirates are tracked across systems. The Emperor calls his network the all-seeing eye. And yet here, at the edge of that eye, something moves unseen. The narration notes, it was not the speed that frightened them. It was the silence. Captain Vahn orders a full sensor sweep. Power surges. Antennae glow. The station hums as it opens every band. Infrared, neutrino, quantum echo. Nothing. Only that thin ripple on the gravimetric feed. Like a shadow passing underwater, a visual camera finally catches a flicker, a dark shape. Wedge-like but blurry, as if light itself slides off. It lasts a fraction of a second. The time stamp shows it should be thousands of kilometers away, but the image appears right beside the station. Is it cloaked? Yesik whispers. No, Vahn answers. It's something else? Crew tension voices rise. One officer says, it's a new rebel ship. Another says, it's a ghost. Someone laughs nervously. Darrow mutters, it's watching us. Captain Vahn slams her hand on the console. Silence! We are Imperial officers. We do not believe in ghosts, but her own eyes betray doubt. Contact attempt, she orders a standard hail on all frequencies. No answer. She orders a coded Imperial challenge. No answer. She orders an energy pulse, a kind of space ping. The ripple on the screen shifts like a fish flicking its tail, and then accelerates. Speed. 0.6 light. 0.7. 0.8. Sensors scream. The ripple vanishes. It's gone, Darrow says. No, Vahn whispers. It's behind us. The Phantom passes for an instant. The hull of Argus 3 vibrates as if something enormous slides past. A soft blue glow washes through the windows. Then nothing. No alarms, no damage. But every watch officer feels it, a pressure in the mind, like being stared at. The narrator's voice. The Empire's eye had looked into the dark, and the dark had looked back. Aftermath of the encounter. Imperial Command receives the report. The reply is curt. Maintain observation. Do not engage. Reinforcements en route, but hours pass. Reinforcements don't arrive. The Ripple returns, now circling the station at impossible speed. Sometimes it appears on the starboard sensors, sometimes port, sometimes both at once. The crew's fear grows. They tape paper over dead screens. They whisper of the Phantom. A name takes shape. The Phantom without origin, character. Moments Darrow writes a last message to his family, convinced the station will vanish. Yesik hides a small religious charm in his pocket, whispering prayers. Vahn sits alone in her cabin, staring at an old photograph of her graduation at the Imperial Academy. She had believed the Empire was invincible. Now she is not sure. Building to a mini-climax at 600 hours, the Phantom stops circling. It hovers, if such a thing can hover, in front of the station, invisible but felt. All the lights dim. A low hum rises through the metal. The gravitic sensors spike into red. Then for the first time, the station receives a signal, a single pulse, not on any known frequency. It burns through the comm arrays like a whisper of static. Darrow records it. When slowed down, it sounds almost like words. What does it say? Vahn demands. Darrow shakes his head. It's human. Old human. Impossible, Vahn says. Humans are only Imperial subjects. They have no ships like this, but the pulse repeats, louder, clearer. 3 words, we see you, alarms explode. External cameras catch a shadow forming in the starfield, the outline of a colossal shape, larger than any warship. Then the image distorts and vanishes. The station shudders. The crew are thrown to the floor. Lights go out. Narrator. At the edge of Empire, first contact had been made. But who or what had truly found whom? Black screen, the black of space hung silent and endless. Out here the stars looked sharp and close, but to the people on Argus 3 station they felt far away and cold. 2 Imperial supply ships were returning from a routine patrol. Their captains chatted on a private channel about shore leave and food rations. Everything seemed ordinary until one of the pilots blinked at his screen. A streak of light, faint and thin as a hair, ran across his display and then was gone. He checked again. Nothing. He shrugged, thinking it was a glitch. Seconds later, his ship's sensors went blind. All readouts fell to 0. The other pilot's voice broke through the static. "Do you see that?" Before he could answer, a flash of blue swept past his cockpit. The second ship vanished without a sound. No explosion, no debris, only empty coordinates where it had been. He screamed into the comm, but got no reply. His own ship lurched as if an invisible hand had pushed it. Then his screens came back. Space was quiet. The Phantom had passed. Back on Argus 3, Captain Lira Vahn stood at the command console, pale and tense. Reports were coming in from scattered convoys. Ships going missing. Communications dropping for seconds at a time. No transponders, no distress calls. Only sudden silence. In the mess hall, the younger crew whispered a new name, Star Ghost. It drifted from person to person, like a rumor with teeth. Vahn had doubled the scans and ordered every frequency open, but it was like trying to catch the wind. The Phantom left no heat signature, no drive trail, no mass shadow, only a slight twist in gravity, as though space bent for it. Even that trace flickered and slipped from their computers as soon as they tried to lock on. Darrow, the young ensign who first saw it, hardly slept. He sat at his station with bloodshot eyes, replaying the same few seconds of blurred footage over and over. "It moves like it knows we're watching," he muttered. Yesik stood behind him and rubbed his temples. "Maybe it does." Neither of them laughed. Imperial Command had finally responded, but not with answers. They sent encrypted orders: maintain observation, collect data, prepare for interdiction. No one on the station liked the word interdiction. It meant war. Yet nothing they had could touch an object that could outrun their fastest interceptors and hide from every sensor at once. Across the next few days, tension rose like a tide. Cargo haulers began refusing to travel near the outer routes. Families of missing crews flooded the data net with desperate messages. Imperial news feeds played down the stories, but the word phantom kept appearing in hushed corners. Even officers on inner worlds began to wonder if the Empire's all-seeing eye had finally blinked. On the fourth night, Argus III caught the phantom again. Not a visual this time, but a pattern in the static of deep-band signals. A shape hidden in noise, moving from one star to another faster than their algorithms could compute. Vahn ordered a full-power scan, risking exposure of every secret system the station carried. The return came back empty. The thing had slid between their pulses like water through a net. She leaned over Darrow's shoulder and said quietly, "It isn't random. Look at the jump points." He ran the numbers. Each sighting lined up with Imperial military corridors, the hidden highways only warships used. The Phantom wasn't wandering. It was tracing the Empire's arteries. At 0300, the alarms shrieked. An emergency flash from a mining colony 2 systems away lit up their board. The message was garbled, but one phrase repeated, "No origin, no signal, no escape." Then nothing. The crew stared at one another. That was their phrase now. Someone out there had heard it. Vahn closed her eyes. "It's sending a message," she whispered. "Or a warning." No one spoke. The hum of the station sounded louder, like a heartbeat. Hours later, another convoy disappeared. This time, the Phantom showed itself for a moment on 3 different sensors at once. A dark wedge blocking starlight, here then gone, as if space itself had blinked. Some swore they heard a low tone in their minds when it passed. Others said it felt like being watched by a predator. By the end of the week, fear had settled like frost over Argus III. Men and women moved in silence, their boots soft on the deck. Darrow stopped trying to record the blur. He just stared at the empty screens, waiting. Even Captain Vahn, who had never believed in ghosts, found herself touching the old scar on her cheek as if to remind herself she was still solid. Then, in the darkest hour before shift change, the station's external lights flickered. All at once, the gravity sensors spiked into red. A ripple swept across the hull like a silent wave. Every screen filled with static. Through the viewports, a faint shimmer moved across the stars, a streak without beginning or end, like a shadow of light. It curved slowly around the station, tracing a path only it understood. Darrow's voice trembled. "It's not running anymore." Captain Vahn stared into the shimmer, feeling the hairs on her neck rise. The Phantom had crossed the stars without a trace. Now it had come back to them. And for the first time she wondered if it was not they who were watching it, but it who had been watching them all along. The lights went out. Only the stars remained, cold and sharp, and somewhere in that endless dark, a ghost moved faster than thought. Space around Argus III was no longer quiet. Patrol craft came and went. Drones hummed like insects, and coded beams of light flickered between relay buoys. The Empire had stopped pretending nothing was wrong. Whole convoys were vanishing, mining stations falling silent, and the word phantom was spreading through every crew mess and market stall. On the station's main screen, a single line of text pulsed, "Reinforcements inbound. Maintain observation." Nobody breathed easier. They had seen what the Phantom could do. Captain Lira Vahn stood on the command deck with her arms behind her back, staring at the star map. Red dots marked the last known positions of missing ships. They formed a curve, like the outline of a claw, cutting across Imperial space. She knew that wasn't random. The thing was tracing their inner lanes, the routes only the fleet used. It was watching, learning, or hunting. A low chime echoed. Darrow looked up from his console. Jump signature detected, multiple. The star map lit up as 1, 2, 5, then 10 bright blue icons appeared. They were coming in fast, each icon tagged with the crest of the Emperor's personal navy. Yesik whispered, "That's the Grey Talons. Fastest ships in the core." Even Vahn felt a flicker of hope. The Talons were legend. Pulse drives that could match a comet's tail, crews hand-picked for loyalty, weapons nobody on Argus 3 had ever seen. Through the viewport, streaks of light tore open the dark. Sleek, needle-shaped cruisers unfolded from hyperspace like blades. Their hulls glowed faintly from fresh jump burns. In perfect formation, they banked toward the station. A voice filled the command deck, deep and steady. "This is Commander Run of the Imperial Talons. Maintain position." "We are taking over the hunt," Vahn answered, her tone flat. "Good hunting, Commander. It does not like to be caught." He gave no reply. Within minutes, the fleet deployed a net of sensor buoys around the station, each one throwing invisible curtains of energy into space. Frigates took up silent orbits, and interceptors darted between them like hawks. It looked like a trap no prey could escape. The crew of Argus 3 watched on their screens, hearts lifting a little, but the Phantom was already moving. Darrow's board flickered with gravimetric ripples coming from the far edge of the system. "Contact," he breathed. "High speed. No ID." Vahn stepped closer. "Trajectory," he swallowed. "Straight at the Talons!" The Imperial fleet reacted instantly. Interceptors launched, their drives leaving white scars across the black. Cruisers powered up pulse cannons, building storms of blue light at their bows. Commander Run's voice rang out, "Lock pattern Delta." Collapse the lanes. Nothing gets through. On every screen, the Phantom appeared as only a distortion, a tear in the starfield sliding impossibly fast. It darted between buoys, each time slipping through milliseconds before the nets closed. One interceptor fired. The shot hit nothing but empty space. The Phantom was already behind it. Another pilot tried to ram it head-on. His craft spun, as if caught by an invisible current, engines dead, drifting. The Phantom flickered past him and was gone. In the command deck of Argus 3, tension thickened. Darrow's fingers flew over his console. "It's anticipating them. It knows their moves before they make them," Yesik muttered. "It's playing with them." On the Talon flagship, Commander Run watched his screens with cold eyes. "All ships," he barked, "prepare pulse jump intercept. We will cut it off mid-flight." Massive engines roared. One by one, the cruisers vanished into hyperspace in a pattern meant to box the Phantom from every side. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the sensors on Argus 3 lit up like a storm. The Phantom split. One ripple became 2, then 3, each moving on a different vector. Multiple contacts. Darrow shouted, "No, echoes. Decoys?" He looked up at Vahn. "I don't know." The cruisers emerged from hyperspace into empty void. Their formation was shattered. 2 ships reported systems offline. 1 transmitted only static. The Phantom reformed behind them, a dark wedge eclipsing starlight, then blinked out again. Back on the station, Vahn felt the last thread of hope slip. The Empire's fastest fleet, their sharpest blade, was striking at smoke. She spoke softly, more to herself than anyone else. "We're not hunting it. It's hunting us," alarms wailed again. A coded burst from the Talon flagship reached them, heavily distorted. Only one phrase came through. It knew. Then silence. The lights on Argus 3 dimmed. Outside the viewports, the cruiser's blue drive glow faded one by one as they drifted, disabled but not destroyed. The Phantom had slipped past them and was now arrowing toward the next system, its path unmistakable, straight along the Empire's inner arteries. Vahn closed her eyes and steadied her breath. The hunt had begun, but not in the way Command had imagined. Somewhere out there, a human hand, or something like it, was steering a ship the Empire could not see and could not catch. And the fastest fleet ever built had just learned what fear in deep space truly felt like. Space was quiet, but the quiet was heavy, pressing against the hull of Argus 3 like an unseen hand. The Phantom had vanished again, leaving no trace except a trail of vanished ships and dead comms. Imperial Command had ordered observation only. Any attempt to follow it had ended in failure. Captain Vahn stared at the star map, tracing the paths of disappearances. Patterns emerged, but they made no sense unless someone wanted them to. Darrow's console beeped. He leaned forward, eyes wide. "Captain, I think I'm receiving something." On his screen, a faint signal pulsed, weak and distorted. It was not coming from the phantom itself, but from the exact path it had taken. The words typed themselves onto his display, fragments of an ancient human dialect. Characters the Empire had thought extinct. Vahn stepped closer. "Show me." Darrow hesitated, then projected the sequence onto the main screen. The letters shimmered, almost alive, twisting and folding in ways that made the crew feel dizzy. When read slowly, the message became clear. "We hear your Empire. We see you." A murmur ran through the room. "Humans?" whispered Yesik. "Impossible. All humans are under the Empire's control. We know every settlement." Vahn's jaw tightened. "Then who sent this? And why?" She felt a shiver run down her spine. This was no ordinary enemy. This was something clever, organized, patient. Darrow replayed the signal. The same words repeated, but in different locations, pulsing like beacons along the Phantom's path. It was not random. Someone or something was guiding it. Vahn's mind raced. If the message was human, then the Phantom was human-made too. But how? And why now, after centuries of silence? Outside the station, the stars seemed to pulse in rhythm with the faint signals. The crew felt the presence of something far away, something watching them with intent. The sensors picked up tiny gravitational anomalies, small but precise. It was almost as if the Phantom and the humans controlling it were feeling out the Empire, testing their responses. A transmission from a distant mining station arrived, garbled and desperate. "Cannot. Ships, no origin. Warning." The message cut off, leaving only static. Vahn frowned. The human pulse and the Phantom's path were connected. Whoever sent the signal knew every Empire protocol, every patrol route, every weakness. "This is not just a ship," she said, her voice low. "It's a message, a warning, or a challenge." Darrow swallowed hard. "Captain, I think they're human exiles. Ancient colonies that survived outside Empire control. They've been building technology we can't even detect right under our noses." Vahn closed her eyes. For years, she had believed the Empire was unchallengeable, that humans had nowhere left to hide. Now evidence suggested otherwise. A part of her felt fear, a part of her felt awe. The Phantom, moving faster than thought, sending whispers in an old human language, represented a power the Empire had never imagined. Hours passed. The signal pulses increased in frequency, hopping from system to system, always following the same route. Crew members reported strange sensations. Some heard faint whispers, others saw shadows flicker across the walls. Every time the Phantom passed, it left a ghostly impression in their minds, like it had touched something deep inside. Vahn realized they were dealing with a war unlike any she had known. It was silent, unseen, and smarter than the Empire's fastest fleet. And the message from Earth was the first clue. Humanity had returned. Not as subjects, not as obedient citizens, but as something new, something dangerous, something free. The day ended with no physical confrontation. No fleet was destroyed, no shots fired. Yet the crew felt the tension in every corner of the station. The Phantom had spoken, and the Empire had listened. Its words were simple, but the meaning was clear. They were not alone. They had been observed, and the galaxy had shifted in ways the Empire would soon regret. Vahn sat alone in her cabin, replaying the message over and over. "We hear your Empire. We see you." The words echoed in her mind like a drumbeat. Somewhere across the stars, humans had risen again, and they had the Phantom to lead them. The hunt had only just begun. The Deadlight Nebula stretched across the horizon like a river of darkness and fire. Its clouds of gas glowed faint red and orange, casting eerie shadows across the stars. To the Empire, it was a perfect place to set a trap. Its thick nebulous storms could hide massive fleets, and its electromagnetic turbulence could scramble any sensor reading. Commander Rune had chosen it carefully. Here the Empire would catch the Phantom. Here, the fastest ships ever built would finally corner the ghost that had humiliated them. Captain Vahn watched from Argus 3 as the Talon fleet moved into position. Hundreds of drones and sensor buoys were deployed, creating a lattice of invisible energy nets that shimmered faintly in the nebula's light. The crew of Argus 3 could see the formation unfold on the main screen. It was perfect. Too perfect, maybe. Darrow whispered, "It's like bait." Hours passed. The station's monitors were filled with bursts of static, gravimetric anomalies and blurred streaks. Every time a sensor focused, the Phantom seemed to shift just out of reach. And then, just as Commander Rune predicted, it appeared. A shadow moved across multiple screens at once. It sliced through the nebula like a knife, leaving no trace but the disturbance of gas clouds. The Talons accelerated to intercept, weapons ready, engines screaming. One by one, the energy nets closed in. Darrow's pulse raced. "It's caught," he thought. But the Phantom didn't fight. It didn't dodge. It simply passed through the trap. Then the first explosion rocked the fleet. Not from weapons, but from inside the ships themselves. Interceptors went dark. Cruisers spun out of control. Communications became a mass of static and screams. The Phantom had split its presence, creating illusions, sending decoys, bending space around it so that every attack missed or destroyed the attacker. Vahn felt her stomach twist. "It's smarter than we imagined," she whispered. "It's playing with them." Yesik muttered, "No, Captain. It's showing us." From the Talon flagship, Rune's voice was tense. "All units, fall back!" "We cannot contain it." But it was too late. Several ships vanished entirely. Others reported that systems shut down one by one, as if the Phantom had touched them from a distance. The nebula itself seemed to twist. Currents of red and orange gas shifting unnaturally, hiding the ghost completely. Argus 3 trembled. Alarms flared as gravity sensors went haywire. "Crew members fell to the floor." Darrow shouted into the comms, "It's everywhere at once." Vahn grabbed the console. The Phantom was moving not just through space, but through the minds of those watching. Every ship in the trap felt its presence, and every ship faltered. Then the Phantom reappeared on the far side of the nebula. Ships that had survived the trap were scattered and broken. The formation of the Talons lay in ruins. A deep, low hum echoed through the hull of Argus 3, vibrating the air and metal. It was not a sound of engines. It was a presence, something alive. Something ancient and patient. Vahn's heart pounded. She realized what Darrow had been saying. This was no ordinary ship. It was a weapon, yes, but also a message. Every move, every shadow, every disappearance was deliberate. It was teaching the Empire a lesson, showing the limits of their power. Outside, the nebula glowed brighter, swirling in response to the Phantom's passage. The gas clouds refracted light from destroyed Talons, casting ghostly patterns across Argus 3's viewports. Crew members whispered in fear and awe. They were witnessing something impossible, something that no Imperial strategy could contain. By the time the nebula settled into quiet again, the Phantom was gone. Not a single sensor had a trace of it. Ships that survived drifted, damaged, some silently returning to base, reporting what they could. And yet, Vahn knew the real danger was not the immediate threat. The Phantom had sent a warning, a reminder. The Empire was not omnipotent, and there were forces out there in the void. It could neither control nor predict. She leaned back, closing her eyes for a moment and whispered, "It is human. It has to be. And it is telling us we are not alone." The crew of Argus 3 felt the weight of the moment. This was not just a trap. This was the beginning of a war unlike any the galaxy had seen. The Phantom had struck, and the Empire had learned the first. Bitter lesson. In the shadows of space, humanity could return in ways no sensor could anticipate, and no fleet could stop. The stars were silent, but the emptiness felt heavy. For weeks, the Empire's fastest fleets had chased shadows, blurred streaks, and echoes of the Phantom across countless systems. Every attempt to intercept it had failed. Argus 3 sat on the edge of a quiet sector, its crew tense and exhausted, waiting for the next ripple in the void. Captain Lira Vahn stared at the latest sensor data. It was different this time. The Phantom's trail wasn't random, and it wasn't just fast. It was precise, each jump aligned with old human colonies long thought extinct, planets abandoned centuries ago when the Empire claimed total dominion. Her pulse quickened. Could it really be? Darrow sat at his console, fingers flying over the keys. "Captain, I think we can track it this time," he said, voice tight with excitement and fear. "Not the whole path, just fragments, and it's sending something." Vahn leaned over. On the screen, a small fragment of data shimmered like a ghostly thread. Images appeared, holographic faces of humans she did not recognize. Their skin was pale, their eyes sharp and alive. They were not Imperial soldiers. They were not rebels. They were humans, free, clever, and unseen for generations. The holograms flickered, showing ships unlike anything in Imperial designs, sleek, alive, almost organic in form. "They built the Phantom," Vahn whispered. "All of it." A low hum filled the station. Crew members froze, staring at the projections. Then another message came. A sequence of symbols, old human language, unmistakable to those who had studied ancient Earth scripts. Words she thought lost forever appeared on the main screen. "We have returned. We are not yours to command." Darrow's hands trembled. "Captain, they're human. They've been hiding, waiting, watching, and now they're back." Outside the station, the Phantom shimmered faintly in the void. For the first time, it slowed, not to evade, but to reveal. It hovered near the outer edge of sensor range, its shape clearer, a living construct, massive yet elegant, faster than thought, shielded from every known system the Empire had. And yet, its presence felt deliberate, communicative, intelligent. Vahn's mind raced. The Empire had conquered humanity long ago, or so they thought. But these humans had survived, evolved, and returned with technology beyond imagination. The Phantom was only the first sign, a herald of their arrival. A sudden transmission cut through the comms. It was rhythmic, pulsing, almost musical. Darrow decoded it slowly. "Captain, it's a message. They're asking for recognition. They want us to know they exist. And they are not attacking yet." Yesik leaned back, staring at the screen. "They could destroy the fleet in an instant." "Yes," Vahn said softly. "But they don't, not yet. They are showing us patience, intelligence, respect, and warning." The crew of Argus 3 felt a mixture of fear and awe. They had chased the impossible across the stars, but the impossible was human. A human ingenuity that had slipped through the Empire's fingers, hidden in darkness, and now returned to stake a claim in the galaxy. Hours passed. The Phantom remained just out of reach, leaving a trail of hope and terror. Each pulse, each flicker, each message revealed more about the humans who had built it, masters of stealth, speed, and precision, operating from the shadows. Vahn looked at Darrow and Yesik. "Prepare a full report, but be careful. We are not witnessing an attack. We are witnessing a revelation. Humanity has returned, and the Empire must see it before it can respond." The station hummed as the crew worked. Outside, the Phantom blinked once, twice, then vanished into the darkness of deep space, leaving only a faint ripple. The stars returned to silence. But the message lingered in their minds. Humanity was back, not as subjugated subjects, not as rebels hiding in small pockets. They had returned as masters of the void, wielding power and intelligence the Empire could not yet understand. And the galaxy would never be the same. Captain Vahn closed her eyes. "We are not the hunters," she whispered. "We are being hunted, and this is only the beginning." The Phantom's presence had revealed a truth that no Imperial report could capture. The humans had returned to the stars, and the age of the Empire's certainty was over. The Empire was shaking. Reports of vanished ships, disabled fleets, and Phantom sightings had spread like wildfire across Imperial systems. Worlds that had once bowed quietly now buzzed with rumors of a returning human power, and whispers of rebellion reached ears that had long grown accustomed to silence. Commander Rune's flagship hovered near Argus 3, the Talon fleet in tatters, its fastest ships damaged or lost. Every officer aboard knew the truth. The Empire's hold on the stars was no longer absolute. Captain Lira Vahn watched the incoming reports on her console, her face tense. Every system along the Phantom's path had reported anomalies, comms interference, gravimetric distortions, and glimpses of the human construct moving faster than thought. The crew of Argus 3 was exhausted, but they stayed alert, knowing that whatever came next could decide the fate of the Empire or the galaxy itself. The Emperor's voice boomed through encrypted channels, harsh and cold. "Contain the Phantom. Destroy it if necessary. No human entity may defy the Empire again." Every officer felt the weight of that command. Yet even the Emperor's might seemed brittle against a force that could slip through hyperspace nets and destroy entire squadrons with ease. In the fleet's command room, Rune's hands shook as he stared at the star map. "We've deployed every ship, every sensor, every strategy," he muttered, "and it still outmaneuvers us." "What is it?" Vahn stood behind him. "Not just a ship, Commander. A message. And they're human." Rune's eyes narrowed. "Humans. There should be none capable of this. None. They've been hiding," Vahn said. "Preparing. Watching us. And now they're testing the Empire." Across Imperial worlds, unrest began to stir. Citizens whispered in corridors and markets. Soldiers questioned commands. The legend of the Phantom, the human construct moving faster than light, had spread faster than any fleet could chase. People feared for the first time that the Empire might not be invincible. Inside Argus 3, Darrow and Yesik monitored every signal, every gravitational ripple. The Phantom was returning. Its path traced the veins of Imperial space with precision, as if it were mapping weaknesses and observing reactions. Each jump seemed calculated to provoke tension, to test loyalty, to measure fear. Then came the order. The Empire would deploy the Doomsday weapon. Hidden for decades, a planet-sized construct armed with energy capable of obliterating a star system. The plan was simple. Destroy the Phantom wherever it appeared, send a warning to any human colonies, and reassert Imperial control. Vahn's stomach twisted. "If they fire that," she muttered, "they could destroy millions of lives." "Including innocents," Run's voice was grim. "We have no choice. The Empire cannot be challenged." But Vahn hesitated. She had seen the Phantom up close, had watched its intelligence and precision, had glimpsed the humans behind it. She understood now that they were not invaders. They were survivors. They were proving a point. Humanity could not be crushed. They were clever, patient, and far stronger than the Empire imagined. Vahn faced a choice that could cost her everything: obey the Emperor and unleash devastation, or warn the humans and risk being branded a traitor. Her hands shook as she typed a covert message toward the Phantom's last known coordinates. Outside the station, space seemed to darken. Signals twisted and pulsed with unnatural precision. The Phantom returned, not as a single construct, but as dozens of smaller vessels moving in perfect coordination. Every ship in the Imperial fleet detected it, yet none could touch it. The Doomsday weapon's sensors locked onto the moving silhouettes, but they flickered, split, and vanished, making targeting impossible. The Empire's fleets faltered. Panic spread, soldiers argued. Commanders shouted. The Emperor's authority, long absolute, felt brittle under the weight of something unseen but undeniably powerful. Vahn whispered to herself, "The Empire is at its breaking point, and they have not even struck yet." The Phantom moved like a shadow across the stars, calm, deliberate, almost respectful in its destruction of systems, disabling without slaughter. It was a warning, a lesson, and a revelation. The Empire's power was not infinite. Humanity had returned, not as slaves, not as rebels, but as masters of the void. As Argus 3 trembled from the passing ripples, Vahn realized that the coming battle would not be fought with brute force alone. It would be fought in strategy, intelligence, and courage. The Empire had been forced to see the truth. The age of unquestioned dominance was over, and the stars now belonged to all who could claim them. The final message from the Phantom blinked onto the station's screens. "We are here. We are human. We are not yours to command." Vahn's hands hovered over the console. She knew that whatever happened next would decide the fate of millions, and that the galaxy would never be the same. Space seemed to hold its breath. Weeks of tension, pursuit, and uncertainty had brought the Empire's fastest fleets to the edge of despair. Every system along the Phantom's path had been tested, every strategy deployed, every weapon fired, and yet the ghostly construct, faster than thought, smarter than any fleet, remained untouchable. Argus III trembled under the weight of anticipation, its crew exhausted but alert. Captain Lira Vahn stood at the command console, staring at the star map. The Phantom's latest position was near the heart of Imperial space. Just beyond the outer rim, it had moved silently, deliberately, past countless fleets, through sensors, and around every trap set by the Empire. Now it was here. The station's alarms flared. Every sensor lit up with tiny anomalies, ripples, pulses, shadows, signs of a presence both immense and intelligent. Darrow's fingers flew over the console. It's coordinating attacks, not randomly. It's disabling ships, not destroying them. Controlling the battlefield. His voice trembled. Captain, it's teaching them a lesson before striking. Vahn's eyes narrowed. She understood. The Phantom was not just a ship. It was the embodiment of human ingenuity, resourcefulness, and patience. The humans behind it were showing the Empire that their power could not be challenged by force alone. It was the ultimate HFY moment. Humanity, underestimated and thought extinct, returning to the stars to reclaim its place. Outside, the Phantom shimmered across the void, moving faster than any eye could follow. Imperial cruisers fired volleys, and the doomsday weapon powered its energy arrays. Missiles streaked toward the target, energy beams tore across space, but each attack failed. The Phantom split into multiple forms, fading and reappearing, moving in impossible ways, guiding projectiles harmlessly into empty space or redirecting them back. Every Imperial ship that tried to engage was met with perfect evasion. Vahn watched as the fleet faltered. Commander Rune's voice came through the comms, tense and broken. All units, fall back. We cannot contain it. But even retreat did not free them from the Phantom's precision. Systems failed, engines sputtered, and ships drifted helplessly. The humans behind the construct were in complete control. The crew of Argus III held their breath. The Phantom's final act was about to begin. It moved toward the heart of the Imperial fleet, not to destroy, but to demonstrate dominance. Its massive silhouette appeared briefly, glowing faintly with an eerie light that seemed alive. Vahn felt the presence in her mind, calm, deliberate, and intelligent. Then came the message, clear. In the ancient human tongue, perfectly understood. We are human. We have returned. No force can bind us. No empire can claim the stars. A cheer broke out on Argus III, not of relief, but of awe. They had witnessed something extraordinary. The Phantom was untouchable, yes, but more than that. It was proof that humanity had endured, evolved, and now commanded the galaxy with intelligence, speed, and courage the Empire had never imagined. Imperial command fell silent. The doomsday weapon powered down, unable to locate a target. Fleets withdrew, defeated not by firepower, but by ingenuity. Every officer knew the truth. The Phantom had struck, and the Empire had no escape from the lesson it carried. Vahn exhaled slowly, looking out at the stars. We were hunters, she whispered. And we have been shown the limits of our reach. The Phantom blinked once, twice, and vanished into the dark, leaving only a faint ripple across the stars, a reminder that humanity had returned. Unstoppable, untraceable, and free, the galaxy would never be the same. And in the hearts of those who had watched, untruth shone brighter than any fleet or weapon. The human spirit, underestimated for centuries, had reclaimed its place among the stars. The screen faded to black. Silence hung in space, but it was not empty. Humanity had returned, and no one could stop it.